and that creates a huge problem. They got this thing where they're saying anybody that does not believe in this war, this white man's war, is supporting terrorism. Well, I have seen a lot of terrorism in my lifetime, and as a historian, I've seen the terror that white people inflicted upon black people here in Black America. I've seen the terror that black soldiers following behind white soldiers inflicted on people in, the different wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam. I've seen black males do things in the Vietnam War, in all of these pictures and just images that are just horrible. And they basically had the same demonic traits, the same demonic actions of the whites that were doing these things to them in Black America. And so they found themselves falling into that trap. And then when they get back here, many of them were disillusioned because they thought that now that they have become like whites and killed like whites and maimed and tortured and all this different stuff, that when they get back to America, they would be treated like whites. And when they got back, you had soldiers being hung in their uniforms. You had soldiers that were not allowed to be buried in certain places. You had soldiers that had did all of these demonic things for their white slave owners. And when they got back, they realized that they had sold their souls for absolutely nothing. And, but in the process of doing this, many of them not only sold their souls, they sold their seat. They sold their last names. And some of them married Vietnamese women and brought those women back here. And we saw the devastation in the black community as many of these Vietnamese women, once they got here, they opened up businesses and competed with black women. And once they got the businesses to a certain point, they brought in other Vietnamese family members. And together, those Vietnamese family members basically took over black industries. And so these black males were responsible for a lot of the issues that occurred in the black community. The amount of white-controlled black entertainment that they put in their head that says, have relations with 10 different women, and if 5 of those women end up pregnant, well, that's not your fault. That's not your responsibility. That's on them. Well, that means you got 5 children that may or may not have your last name, but definitely has your bloodline. And so when you get up in age and decide you want to do your paternal or maternal charge, which, now they're wanting to do, they have to address all of those children that they left behind, all of those women that said they were pregnant. And he walked out. He was like, well, what that got to do with me? All of the women who said they had an abortion but actually didn't. They had the children. And, of course, all of those children that were aborted because that black male said, this ain't my problem. So, it's a lot of skeletons. And unfortunately, those bones are going to be rattling for a minute. We're going to be dealing with this initiative. His name is My Name Too initiative from January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2019. So, it's going to be hard for people here in especially for black males, because they have a lot of skeletons in the closet. And those ghosts and those skeletons are going to keep them up at night throughout this next decade of the black census. But, it's got to be done. It's you never get any rest if you're always worried about when the next bone is going to rattle. And you cannot deal with the reparation situation as a black community unless you are willing to open up those closets, dig up those bones buried in, shallow graves, and start actually dealing with what happened to your last name. How'd you get it? What did your slave masters do to that last name? What did you do voluntarily to that last name? And how those pieces fit back together. You're going to find out things that are not necessarily pleasant. Now you'll find out a lot of things that actually are pleasant. We have people that have started this, and they're finding long-lost relatives that they didn't even know they had. So, I had one person thought their mother was the only child, and they found two black siblings, a black brother and a black sister of their mother. They didn't even know they had an auntie and uncle. And so, they were just happy as clams to now find all of these relatives. And the relatives were in a little bitty small town. And so when they went there, they got to see all kinds of little bitty children and extensions of their auntie and uncle. And so it was quite thrilling for them. So that's the good part of it. There's going to be some ugly parts. So we just have to be ready for them as a black community. We've taken on ugliness before. The slave trade was ugly. All of them. There's 9 different slave trades. They all were ugly. They all decimated black bloodlines and black namesakes. So we're going to have to deal with it. Like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So tomorrow we're going to talk about black women and the things that black women are doing to also make this situation difficult in the black community when it comes to tracking these last names. Women are going to have to start, no matter what, making sure that these children being born have their father's last names. Even if the children decide to change it later on in life, make sure your child has their father's last name so that if they decide to do a paternal search, they will know where to start. And so we're going to be talking about that and why black women and some white women have the same thing. So we want to thank you again for joining us. I hope it wasn't too hard with the people listening in. But until tomorrow, we will say to you as always, all power to the people.